Now, bringing you the very best in New Hampshire-based local music on IPMNation.com and 100.1 The Planet, this is Local Outbreak. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Matt Connerton from IPMNation.com here with you. By the way, a lot of cool things happening at IPMNation.com. If you haven't given it a look lately, you definitely should. But welcome everybody. So nice to be here with you again this week. And we've got something special on the show. I sat down for a conversation with a gentleman named Ross Terrio. Now, Ross is in some circles known more for being a politician from the city of Manchester, New Hampshire. But that wasn't the subject, of course, for this show, because this is not a political program. I do another show called Matt Connerton Unleashed, which does not air on the planet, of course, which is political, but not this show. Local Outbreak, of course, we focus on New Hampshire and New Hampshire-based music and so forth. But Ross is a musician in addition to being a politician. In fact, he's a fellow bass player like myself. He also... he's very into music, and obviously he is a musician. And we had a pretty interesting discussion about music, and we got into some other things as well. And the entire discussion was pretty New Hampshire centric. For example, you learn something about me that during our discussion, which might surprise you, because I did grow up in New Hampshire, and yet there's something I've never done that is a very popular activity here in New Hampshire. So anyway, I think you'll like this. It was a pretty interesting discussion, but really heavy on the music. And I'm going to open with a track, however, and this is a song that we featured, I think, on the show a couple of months ago. The project is called Wood Floors, and the track is Killed the Radio Star. And we have a conversation about the song, about this song specifically, with Ross at the beginning of our discussion that I'm going to share with you today. So what we'll do is we're going to hear that track, Killed the Radio Star by Wood Floors, and then we'll go straight into the first part of my conversation with Ross Terrio. So I hope you'll enjoy it. But again, this is Killed the Radio Star by Wood Floors to open up this week's Local Outbreak.
Video killed the radio star. Every soul's taxi cab for cats and dreams. All I do is think about you, things that I did in lives that I you are nothing more than a kid, dreams that I had in my eyes. Women lost and never found, please come around when I'm feeling down. Women lost and never found, please come around, please come around. I'm not trying to be your best. I need one, 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 I need one. All my life I've been searching.
And I am not alone in the studio. Joining us at the news desk for the first time in a long time, Ross Terrio is here. How are you, sir?
Excellent. Hey, Matt, thanks for having me on.
Of course,
hey,
of
Matt,
course.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I was listening to that music that you hit on, and it sounded like a fusion of Black Sabbath and techno. What was that?
Well, really? You should be a music critic. The song that I opened with?
Yeah.
That's a band called, Boston band called Wood Floors. And the track is called Killed the Radio Star. Yeah, techno and Black Sabbath. Really? Did you like it?
I did.
Yeah. It's got kind of a cool groove. I like the bass line.
Yeah, a little depressing tones to it, though.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you know much about music? Not that I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there are some musical tones that when the Catholic Church back in the Middle Ages didn't want you to play. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of Black Sabbath music is, that like that heavy bass line that you're not supposed to
minor chords.
They're considered not melodious, or there's something about them, but those chords they're very like a negative energy or depressing, and that's kind of the feel I got from Wood Floors. Is that what
Wood Floors is the band? Yeah, that's interesting though. See, I didn't know that, and I was raised Catholic. I was raised in a Catholic home. Went to Catholic school, grade 2 to grade 8, but I did not know. It doesn't completely surprise me, but I didn't know this. So the Catholic Church at one time, I mean, this was obviously a long time ago, but they believed that there were certain tones, certain musical tones.
And I'm not completely sure. So I used to play bass guitar.
Oh, we have that in common.
All right.
Yeah.
And so my music teacher, bass guitar teacher, we were doing different things, and he said a lot of, actually, you have to, give the Catholic Church some credit. A lot of what we know about music, about of the research and the different things was done by the church back in the Middle Ages, Dark Ages, whatever. Did different chords and different things, but he said there are certain tones or certain chords that aren't supposed to be played together because they're I don't think the church said it was sinful.
Yeah,
but they just said this is not, these certain musical arrangements don't go together well or shouldn't really be played.
That's fascinating to me.
I mean, I have no reason to think he would be lying to me.
Right. No, that's really interesting. I don't know if you know this, but Geezer Butler, the bassist for Sabbath, he read an interview. This was a long time ago. He was talking about how when Black Sabbath first started to get popular, he was worried because I guess he was a devout Catholic, and
really?
And he was, I don't know if he is today, but and he said that and he came from a very Catholic family, and he said in this interview that he got worried that his family would think that he was, doing something, involving himself in evil somehow, playing with Sabbath. And in fact, he had actually, I forget if he was actually in the seminary studying for the priesthood or had considered going into the seminary, but had he not gotten into playing in a band, that was kind of the path that he was on. I've always said, and I've said this to other people, and the response that I often get is, "Oh, I never thought of that," but you're right. I'm curious if you would agree that Black Sabbath, I think, is the most misunderstood band in history because they've got the vibe, the dark vibe, and some of those songs like NIB, Nativity in Black, and whatnot, which a song which specifically talks about the devil. The song is about the devil falling in love, and wouldn't that be interesting? But Ozzy explained this once, and I thought, I can see where people misunderstand is that, if you really pay attention to the lyrics, it's none of it's coming from a place of evil. It's certainly it's a place of, but there is a certain hopelessness to it, and a certain hopelessness of looking at the world and being frustrated by the evil in the world. Like you take a song like War Pigs, for example, which is obviously a fantastic anti-war anthem. But, but people misunderstand Sabbath. Ozzy said Sabbath is like the original peace and love band, but people misunderstand. Like if you look at early pictures of Sabbath live, you'll see pictures of Ozzy. He would stand at the front of the stage and do the double peace sign, but he wasn't doing it ironically. Like he meant it. He meant it, peace and love, but they expressed it in with minor chords and a dark tone.
I always took him at face value. I thought one, I thought it was a gimmick, or somewhat to but two, I always thought that maybe they were into some type of like alternative, satanic type of.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that deeply. I will say this: there are certain bands that really cutting edge. That think of like Nirvana, think of the Clash, think Black Sabbath. Like they were the first ones, or the first ones to gain notoriety in a certain genre of music, or subgenre, if you can call it rock and roll. But when I think of Black Sabbath, nobody else was that. At least that was mainstream, was doing that type of music.
Right.
Think of Led Zeppelin. Think of there are different bands that come along like a new era, a new genre of music, a new era, and I think of although I didn't know that deeply about Black Sabbath, the story behind them, I did think they were cutting edge for their time. I have several of their albums, and I will say though, the song I think it's NIB. I think it has a slash. I think it's NIB Wall of Sleep.
Is it?
I think it's. I could be wrong, but I think it says NIB Wall of Sleep.
Okay.
Wall of Sleep. Actually, Google it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Is actually an H.P. Lovecraft. What it was about was that he wrote a story about a man who's mentally ill. He's a killer. He kills several people, and they put him in an asylum. And at night, he goes into this alternative, I guess, where your soul would be when you're dead, and he's in a epic battle with another soul. With they're like traveling in the universe and trying to really destroy each other, and he's angry. And during the day when he's awake, he talks to the doctor and he's explaining this. And I'm probably not doing it justice, but he's explaining what's happening in this alternative universe where his soul lives.
Oh,
and he's not just this inbred, low intelligence killer. He's actually a person who's got this vendetta, and he's trying to settle a score with another immortal spirit in this other place. And that's what The Wall of Sleep was about. It was written by H.P. Lovecraft, who was a very famous macabre, a horror story, author.
Yeah.
And that's what obviously Ozzy and the members of Black Sabbath were aware of the story, because that's what the song is about.
Okay.
So the very literate people.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
As are Led Zeppelin when they sing about, J.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
Some of their songs are about that.
So I looked it up. Okay, so Behind the Wall of Sleep, sometimes referred to simply as Behind the Wall, is the third track from their self-titled debut album. The intro to the track is entitled Wasp, so it's Wasp/Wall of Sleep. But it says on the North American version of the album, the song is merged with NIB.
That's why I was confused, because it just runs into it.
So you were right. But
I had that album. That's why the cassette. So that I remember seeing that somewhere.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it says here, this is from Black Sabbath, BlackSabbathFandom.com. It says the song's lyrics are based on H.P. Lovecraft's short story, Behind the Wall of Sleep. Very interesting.
Yeah. It's just it's a short story, I guess, for lack of a better word, a horror story.
It's a great concept.
Yeah. And I liked it even more when I learned what it was about. I mean, I always liked the song, but it was very interesting to me to find out the reason for it.
Yeah. I'm a big Sabbath fan. I love Sabbath. I actually like. It's funny though. Dirk Don is in the chat room, and we were talking about this. Oh, he's got some comments in here about that. Actually, I actually like some of the post Ozzy stuff better, only because I love all eras of Sabbath. It's just like with Kiss. I love all eras of Kiss, the original, the non-makeup version, the newer version. But I love the early stuff with Ozzy, but I felt like when Dio came in, I love Dio and even Tony Martin, who's kind of an unsung hero of Sabbath, who came in later. I think he's great. I don't know if you ever did you stick to the original Sabbath?
So so for me, the original Sabbath was the best version of Sabbath. But I remember I was probably 14 or 15-ish when Ronnie James Dio took over. Mm-hmm. I like Ronnie James Dio. That being said, I think wasn't he classically trained as an opera singer?
I don't know, but
I want to say Ronnie James Dio had some classical type training. He wasn't, nothing against Ozzy. He's a great singer, and I think he has the best version of Sabbath. but here's the thing. I think Dio probably technically is a better singer than Ozzy, but I can only think of two of his songs. The Last in Line, Rainbow in the Dark. I don't know. Like, I know a lot of the Sabbath songs from when Ozzy was the singer.
Yeah.
I don't know that many. And I didn't actually, for me, the original, the when they first came out was the best version. Not that I don't like it, but around 79, 80, you had Crazy Train.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit more commercial.
That's from Ozzy's solo.
Oh, I'm sorry. And so that was a little bit more commercial, but I'd make an analogy to The Clash. When The Clash first came out, they were great. And then as time went on, like Rock the Casbah, they came a lot more commercial.
Yeah.
They're making money, more popularity. But I thought they kind of got away from their roots for the money.
Yeah.
And I guess Ozzy did that, when he did do the solo Crazy Train.
Yeah.
But I do like Ronnie James Dio. I just don't know that many of his songs. And the other person you said, I don't know him at all. What are some of his big ones?
Tony Martin. Well, the thing is, so when Tony Martin came in, by the way, Dirk in the chat, Tony Martin is his favorite. He likes Tony Martin better than Dio and likes Dio better than Ozzy. But when Tony Martin came in, that was at a point where they didn't really have any mainstream hits at that point. They had become more of a, I don't want to say underground, but more of a sort of an indie level band, and which of course led to the reunion with Ozzy when they became
should I call them
again.
And this is inappropriate, but a cover band. Basically, he was covering early Sabbath.
No, because they were still putting out new albums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They just weren't, they weren't platinum sellers.
I'd make an analogy, and again, I could be wrong on this, but I like Journey back in the 80s. You have the new guy, he's from the Philippines. I forget his name, but he sounds a lot like Perry.
Arnel Pineda.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He mimics him really well.
But I don't know if you know what I mean? They're kind of covering their early, a lot of what they do is they cover their early material.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This is Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet and IPM Nation. Matt Connerton with you. And now here is part 2 of my recent conversation with Ross Terrio. And a surprise bonus guest chimes in as well. This is pretty cool. Check it out.
We have a call. Uh-oh.
Is that Hopwood?
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Matt? How are you?
Oh, hey. That was really scary. I was afraid our Black Sabbath conversation had summoned a demon.
Well, it sort of summoned the demon in me, and that was what I was sort of trying to get across there. Hello to you, Matt. Hello to the guest as well. My name is Frank Stallone, but don't be afraid because I'm actually a friend of the show.
Yes, we do love Frank Stallone.
Is that Rocky's brother?
Matt, how are you? How are things? Can you give me one update for the people on my channel, a positive update, something good that's happening in your life that will get people all jazzed up? We'll say, oh, nice, Matt, he's doing well. All right.
Oh, well, it's a beautiful day here in Manchester, and my good friend Ross Terrio is here. Does that count, or do you need more?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, good.
It's a beautiful day out, and you're hanging out with a good friend.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Absolutely love that.
Oh, my goodness.
But if I could say all this music talk, it kind of got me thinking in all seriousness, Maddie. I know you're a musician, right?
I am.
And I'm sort of a musician, not like you, but I sort of am. And I was curious if you would have any interest in possibly collaborating on a song for the channel. I think that would blow the roof off.
I think the young people call that a collab.
Exactly, Maddie. Let's do it. Honestly, let's do it. I'm going to send you a message. Let's collaborate on a song. You can maybe play some, heavy-duty guitar on it. I can do vocals. We'll figure something out. Let's do it, though. And does your friend play music?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't. Not any. I haven't done bass in a year. I'd suck at it. But Frank, you have got to hear his
Prank with a P.
Oh, Prank. You've got to hear the Glenn R.J. Willett rap, the indie rap thing that you created.
Yes.
That was probably number 1 in Manchester.
That was with my my hip hop alter ego, M Sizzle.
I'll be honest with you, Maddie. I probably don't want to listen to that. I want to keep the respect I have for you at the level it is. So I probably won't go ahead and listen to that. But I'll tell you what, if you grab some maracas to your friend there, he can jump on the track as well. Right. I'm telling you, it's the MC Collaboration 2022. It's coming. It's coming, my friend. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Frank Stallone. Thank you.
This is I predict that this is going to be bigger than Fire.
Bigger than fire.
Yeah.
That's the young people say that too, don't they? They say bigger than fire, I think.
F-Y-R-E.
That track is bigger than fire. Oh, you mean like Firefest?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Ooh. You ever watch any of those documentaries about Firefest?
No, but I've read all about it. It was amazing to me what happened.
Yeah.
He sold, he say lack of a better word, a con artist. He sold, he hyped this image of this music festival, took all this money, and in the end it was nothing. I don't think anybody showed up. There were some tents with like grilled cheese sandwiches, and didn't he end up going to jail for like 10 years?
I believe he was convicted.
I think he's in federal prison for quite a while.
I think so. There's two different, it's kind of odd. There's two different documentaries that came out around the same time. Like Netflix had one and Hulu had the other one or something. And I watched them both. I can't remember the guy's name, but
I want to say it was an Irish name. It was like Brian McCarthy or Brian something.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
But that being said, though, did both of them portray him in a bad light?
Oh yeah. Well, there's no way to really put a positive spin on that guy.
Here's the thing that is he a complete delusional narcissist? How did he think he was going to get away with it? Was he really sincere? He thought he was trying to put something together, or was he a con artist? I mean, all of that money, he's going to get in a lot of trouble once it falls apart, which is what happened.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I remember wondering that. I think a lot of people wondered that at the time because if I remember correctly, he had been involved in other cons previous to Firefest, something involving like cell phone calling cards or something. And so he had pulled some other things, but you do have to wonder, obviously he knows he's going to get caught eventually. So what is the point? And I have to assume that someone like that is severely mentally ill.
Or was he really sincere? Did he really think he was going to be able to put it together?
It is possible that in the very beginning, he did think he could pull it off and maybe had delusions of grandeur. And then, that's another thing too, is he might have been sincere initially and then just got in way over his head. And maybe at a certain point, he kind of gave up and said, there's no way I'm going to be able to pull this off like I envisioned it. But it's too late to turn back now. So, and then it sort of goes from being a sincere effort to becoming a con, maybe. I don't know.
Because if you look at the original Woodstock, that was a cluster. But it turned out, the organization, the logistics, it was a cluster, but the big bands did show up and, they made a documentary of it. And people still think about it, 55, how many years later, 1969.
Oh, yeah. The cultural relevance of it has endured over decades. Yeah, but it's true. People who were actually there do say it. It wasn't quite as grand as it's been mythologized to be, and there was not even anywhere to go to the bathroom there, and all the problems that come with that, and that it was all kind of a mess. But it has endured as a cultural phenomenon, and people still talk about it. Send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. I got kind of stuck there. Sorry. I think my brain, something's wrong. I think my brain is bad. I have a bad brain.
I don't think so. I know you get a little bit prone to depression, but.
Well, and the allergies are terrible, and it affects my brain. I get foggy brained when I've been sneezing uncontrollably. The pollen is incredible this year.
It's very bad.
It's very bad.
I came out to my car, and it looked like the police had dusted my car for fingerprints. You know how it was covered with pollen, but I could see where all our fingerprints are. I was like, holy cow! It looks like the police have been here.
I don't remember ever seeing it this bad ever in my life. I've seen so much pollen. It's where we live, there's the kitchen table is right next to these windows, right next to the porch. And, Jenny's been wiping down the table every day because the pollen is coming through the windows and landing on the kitchen table. And I don't remember that ever happening before. But every morning there's this coating of pollen on the kitchen table. Now
you have a scientific background. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, I'm terrible at science.
Well, whatever. I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
Isn't pollen the reproductive cells of trees and flowers?
I just thought it was there to make me sneeze uncontrollably.
It's part of like
it probably has some other purpose.
Egg and the whatever, to so that they can reproduce.
Oh, so
Isn't
so the
that what it
trees?
is?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think it's part of their reproductive process.
I don't know.
I mean, you know, while we're talking, I'm just curious.
I don't know. All I know is when I look out my window and it looks like it's snowing out because there's so much pollen in the air. I know I'm in for a sneeze-tastic day.
Are you on an antihistamine?
No, I just take an over-the-counter decongestant, and that actually does it for me. I'll take one in the morning when I'm all stuffy, and then I'm good for the rest of the day, really. So
Yes. So this is from Wikipedia. Pollen is a powdery substance produced by seed plants. It consists of pollen grains, highly reduced microgametophytes, which produce male gametes, sperm cells, pollen grains. So basically, this is the male's tree's reproductive material.
Oh.
Looking for the female stamens, looking for the other part.
Oh, well, now it just sounds dirty.
Yeah.
Now it just sounds like when we're wiping the stuff up, I feel a little dirty about it. Like why is that all over the kitchen table if that's really what it is? Damn trees.
Yeah, take your antihistamine.
We're gonna have to cut down some trees, I think, to prevent all this tomfoolery with the pollen. Now that we know what it really is, I mean that's gross. I'm kind of grossed out. I almost wish I didn't know that.
Sorry, you can't take that back.
And that's making me see. That's what's getting in my sinuses. That's
Now,
I mean that's.
Now you probably wish you knew less about science.
Yes. Well, I didn't think I could know less about science than I already did. It's like my worst subject. But
Do you have a green thumb?
no. If I did, I wouldn't be here. I'd be at the hospital. Oh, you mean like with planting and
trees?
No, I don't. Jenny does. Jenny has constructed a beautiful garden on our porch. I do not. I am probably the least outdoorsy human you'll ever meet. I would be perfectly happy to, really, I don't even want to go outside. I wish I could just teleport from one room to another, not even drive here. Not that it's a long drive, but yeah, I like concrete and steel. That's what I like. I don't even go into the woods. I'm deathly afraid of ticks. I've never been camping in my entire life.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nature is frightening to me. There's things out there that can, there's like bobcats or something or billy goats. Are they dangerous? I don't know. There's all kinds of, I could be attacked by wolves at any moment.
True.
I mean, it's frightening out there. I like to be in a nice, safe city. I mean, granted, there's some neighborhoods that aren't great, but I feel safer there than worrying about staring down a bear. I mean, my goodness. So no, I don't.
But there are people who don't like to camp that go camping. They get the fifth wheel and basically they have this gigantic luxury home on the back of their truck.
Yeah,
and they take it out and they're not really camping, but
yeah, they call it glamping.
Yeah,
right?
I think that would be your cup of tea.
The problem with that is I don't know what the point is, though. I mean, what's the point? If you're going to do that, why do it? Why
Get
go?
away from it all. Get away from the the rat race.
Get away from the hustle and bustle
of Manchester.
I like the hustle and bustle. I'm all about the hustle and the bustle simultaneously, not to be greedy. But
I know what hustle is, but what is bustle?
I don't really know. I assume it, but it goes with hustling. That's all I can say.
It's like an 18th century thing.
Bustle?
Yeah,
Probably.
I know what hustle is.
I've never heard the word bustle used in any other context.
It
so
always has. It's like like peanut butter and jelly. It has to be with hustle.
See, now I'm afraid with you looking it up, though, that it's going to be like the pollen
It's going to be like male gametes.
It's going to be, it's going to be something frightening.
Oh, actually, no, it's not.
Oh, good. That's a big
Moving
relief.
in an energetic or noisy manner.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, bustle's okay then.
Yeah, it's not. It's something that you would think of as like a kid, like a rambunctious kid or something.
Mel McMell, she lives in Vermont. She says, you need to come to Vermont. I will connect you to nature. You will return to Manchester with flowers in your hair and fresh eggs. Well, the fresh eggs, I mean, that sounds good. But the flowers in my hair, that's, what if there's, a
bee in one of them.
Exactly. I don't want a bee, and then there's a bee in my bonnet. Not that I'd wear a bonnet, but that's...
Are you allergic to bee bites or hornets or anything?
I was stung by a bee once when I was a kid. It hurt, but I didn't...
Stop breathing.
No.
Okay, you're
no.
fine. You can get stung.
Yeah, I'd rather not, though. Yeah, see, that's the thing. There's things that can sting you. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong in the woods. You know, I just want to, can we just pave the entire earth? Just have it be one big highway or something? That'd be wonderful.
Remember that commercial? I forget which paint company they wanted to paint the entire earth. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know, but I'd like to hire them to do that. I think it would be a good idea. Dirk says in Iowa, all we do is chug maple syrup, from what I hear. We thank the trees with a cleansing forest fire each year. It's brutal out in out west with the forest fires. My God, it gets worse every year.
New Hampshire's doing well though.
Yeah, we do well here. New Hampshire is a good place to be. You know, we really don't struggle with a lot of the things. You know, we don't have severe weather really. The winters have gotten easier.
Winter's kind of hard, but they're not bad.
Easier than they used to be.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have tornadoes usually. Hurricanes, by the time they get up, get up here, aren't any big deal. We don't have forest fires that wreck the entire place.
Drought's not usually bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good place.
We're
to
not
be.
overpopulated. That is 1.2 million people, 1.3. It's not like I think it's pretty good up here. It's the cold weather can get to you, but other than that, I like the hills. I'm from New England. I love hills. I love forests. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I don't. I like to look at hills like on TV or in paintings. I'm not going to actually go near the hills, although I do hear they're alive with the sound of music.
Well, the hills.
Which is nice.
I mean, Manchester has hills.
Oh, that's true. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's Manchester's. New Hampshire in the macro sense. It's a good place. Good place.
I like how the Merrimack River goes down the kind of the middle of the city. A little bit more to the west side, but
yeah. Absolutely.
This is Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet and IPM Nation. Matt Connerton here, and this is part 3 of my recent conversation with Ross Terrio.
What is your current? Do you currently hold office?
Unfortunately, not. I was an alderman, kind of like a city councilor for what other cities do.
Yes,
but unfortunately, I lost my last election by 8 votes, and now I'm running for state senate. So hopefully.
8 votes?
Yeah, it was depressing.
Yeah, it's a good reminder, though, about every vote counts.
It's better to win or lose by like a big majority.
Yes.
Like hundreds of votes, because then you're like, there's nothing I could have done. 8 votes, I could have called 8 people to come out. You know what I mean? I could have done a little bit more to get them to it. When it's that close, it's just, who did a better job getting the vote out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 8 votes, that's nothing.
Yeah. But every vote really does count. Was there when it's that close, do you get an automatic recount?
So initially it was 9 votes, and
and they recounted.
We recounted, and it was 8. So I got 1.
Oh my
I picked
God,
up 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But here's the thing about city elections. Just a little bit of trivia. In talking, I've been involved in a lot of recount, 8 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
The people, this is what the Secretary of State or somebody on the staff told me. I think it was the Secretary of State, former Secretary of State. He said people that vote in city elections are very sophisticated voters because they're very engaged because they care about taxes. He goes, they know how to vote. He goes, where you're going to see a lot of errors is presidential elections. The people that vote for president, not all of them, obviously, because the people that vote in every election know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people who will only vote in presidential elections.
Oh yeah.
And they're not so it'll tell you to fill in the circle with the thing. He goes, people will circle the person's name, they'll put an X through it, they'll put a check mark. He goes, that's where you're going to see a lot of the errors. Mm-hmm. He goes, in a presidential election, because there are people who only vote once every 4 years and they don't know what they're doing. He goes, in a city election, he goes, those people are sophisticated. You're not going to pick up or lose a lot of votes because they know what they're doing. They're going to vote correctly. And that was true. I had 1. I picked up 1 vote. And it was like a circle vote or an X. They had X'd my name or something. They X'd the box or they circled my name. So I got 1 vote.
Yeah. No, it is true though. It's funny. Whenever I vote in every election, and but yeah, the city elections, it's like you go and there's no line. Certainly, did you ever watch All in the Family?
Oh, yeah, I love that show.
I think it's the greatest sitcom in the history of television.
There's one, and this is, I love the Well, there's a bunch. Who's the son-in-law's Meathead? He's very liberal, progressive now,
Yeah.
and I he's on Twitter, and I want to say, shut up, Meathead.
Rob Reiner.
Yeah, Kyle Reiner was his dad, who was a great comedian, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
The 2,000-year-old man.
Yeah.
But Rob was funny too. But he's so liberal now, and I just want to say, shut up, Meathead, from the old,
I think he always was.
Archie.
Yeah.
But I loved, and see if you remember this one. Baby girl. What's the blonde? His daughter's name?
Gloria.
Gloria. But he had a nickname for her, like Baby Girl or something like that.
Little girl.
Yeah. He and I remember. But I remember the skit. I just one of the all-time memorable and favorites. She goes, "Did you know that X amount of people are murdered with guns every year?" And he's like, "Would it make you feel any better if they were pushed out of windows?"
I played that clip on the show recently.
Oh.
Actually, I forget how it came up in conversation, but I was what reminded me of All in the Family was you were talking about, we're talking about city elections, and there's that election where there's that episode where they go to vote. They all go to vote together. You know the one I'm talking about, and it turns out Archie can't vote because he's no longer registered because he hasn't voted so long. And earlier in the episode, he's talking about how he only votes when he thinks it matters. And he says something about, I don't vote in who cares about the meatball elections around here, and then so they go to vote, and it turns out he can't even vote because he's not registered anymore.
And that, I think a lot of people, kind of circling back to what you said about Black Sabbath, Archie Bunker was actually a very progressive type person. He was trying to make people who are closed-minded and bigoted look bad. He wasn't a closed-minded, bigoted person. He was trying to make those people look bad. And remember the spinoff? Was it the Jeffersons? I believe was a spinoff of you had a black version of Archie Bunker. Had his own,
George Jefferson.
That was a good show too.
There's something. To me, it's the greatest show in the history of television. I think Eric said for him it's number 2. Number 1 would be Seinfeld. I have the same list, just in reverse. To me, I'd put All in the Family number 1, Seinfeld at number 2. But one of the genius things about All in the Family that nobody ever points out is, and I think this was key to making the series work, over the course of the series, Archie evolves, but it's incremental and it's very subtle, but he does evolve. So by the time you get to the end of the series, and then it goes on and it becomes Archie Bunker's place.
Yeah, the bar.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, politically, he's not drastically changed, but he's not nearly as ignorant as he is at the beginning of the series. If you go back to season 1 of that show, I mean, he's a full-blown bigot, and he evolves, but it's incremental. So you almost don't notice it. But I remember watching it in reruns when I was a kid. It was on every day after school on Channel 5 out of Boston, and so I would watch it. I've seen every episode multiple times.
So you probably know this then.
Yeah.
Why was Jean Stapleton? Did she really die in real life, or why did she leave the show?
No. I remember reading about that. I think. Well, she left, so it All in the Family ended, and then it became Archie Bunker's place.
Yeah,
and
the bar.
I think, and I think she was only there for the first season of that, and I think that. From what I read, I think she just was kind of tired of it and wanted to go.
Makes sense.
And it kind of, with the new show, the center of the universe in the show kind of changed anyway, from being the house to the bar.
Yeah.
So I think, Jean Stapleton probably felt like, I'm not even in the center of the show anymore with the rest of the cast, and maybe it's time to go. I think I remember reading that because I'd always been curious about that too. But yeah, but they killed her off in the show.
So just to get back to your list of shows, Seinfeld. Now, is that all genres or specifically like sitcoms?
Sitcoms.
Oh, okay. Because again, I do like Archie. All in the Family. I like the Jeffersons. I liked.
Oh yeah.
JJ, moving on up to the east side. The deluxe apartment in the sky.
JJ was Good Times.
Good Times. I like Good Times, but obviously not sitcoms. But I really love, one of my all-time favorite shows was the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, me too.
So I got about a year or so ago. I got on all of them on DVD. I got Twilight Zone. I got the spin-off, well, kind of a spin-off, The Night Gallery.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also got The Outer Limits.
That I've never seen. I've always been aware of it, but I've never actually seen it.
I was born in the mid 60s. And so a lot of this stuff, although it was live, I don't remember it until it was reruns, because I don't remember things until the 70s. I was too young in the 60s. But the Outer Limits, I always remembered they had this funny light wave go on, like an oscilloscope type of way, like a sine wave.
Yeah.
And it would do all these funny things. Don't worry, we're taking control of your TV. We're going to blah, 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 blah. And it's weird because when you see things as a kid, you have a certain memory. But then when you look at them as an adult, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I was completely wrong.
Yep.
So I love the Twilight Zone. One, because you see stars that did something like, for instance, James Kirk from Star Trek.
Yeah, William Shatner.
He had an excellent one, Terror at 30,000 Feet.
Yep.
The original one.
Yep.
They had people like the good-looking guy that was in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Robert Redford.
Yeah.
He was like 21. He played like a cop in a show where he's the angel of death, and he's trying to sneak. He's trying to sneak his way into. There's an old woman who's like 80.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't come out of her house, death can't get her. So she stays inside her house. Anyways, but he's like 20. He's in his early 20s when he does it. But you see a lot of these like really famous great actors.
Oh yeah.
And you see like their first role in life. But the writing was excellent. They put some effort into special effects. Yeah, I mean, it was still the 60s, so they can't be great at it. Contrast that with the Outer Limits. I thought Outer Limits was kind of scary and kind of really cool. And then I looked at it. Oh, the special effects were cheesy.
Yeah.
The writing wasn't as good. I was kind of disappointed. And like the pollen thing that you found out, I kind of wish I hadn't watched it again. Because I was like, this show wasn't as good as I remember it was. Night Gallery, I was a little bit disappointed too, because although, again, I did get to see some famous people. Yeah, there was kind of a comedic element to it where it was not pure horror. There was they were trying to be funny, and it just wasn't as good as the night. And I think he was disappointed too. I had read that Rod Serling was disappointed because, the Twilight Zone was his baby, and he did a great job. And then he stopped for whatever reason. Then he took over Night Gallery, and he wasn't in complete control, and he was disappointed, and so he left after like 2.5 seasons. Rod Serling's an interesting guy, though. Yeah, combat veteran. He almost died. He fought in World War II. He was in the Army, fought in the Pacific against a hardcore combat veteran. Saw a lot of the people that in his unit died. Massive, like 50% or higher casualty rate. So he, and he does do some skits about war. Yeah, or short vignettes, or whatever you want to call them. But just a very interesting guy, little guy, like 5'2", but just a
I didn't know that.
Very small man. Yeah, but very really walked the walk as far as a combat veteran, just like a year or two of hardcore combat, fighting the Japanese in the Pacific, and then come and has a very successful TV career or TV writing career. Yeah, and to me, Twilight Zone is one of the best TV series that's ever been done.
Absolutely. I've definitely seen every episode of Twilight Zone. I don't think I ever saw much Night Gallery. I remember being confused when I was a kid. I think I saw it. I stumbled upon it somewhere on cable television, and I remember asking my mom about it. I was like, what is this? Because it was Rod Serling, but it was in color. And I was like, what is this? And she explained, oh, that's Night Gallery. That's the other show that he did afterward.
It's not as good. It's okay, but it's not as good as.
Is it more of an Alfred Hitchcock type thing where it's less scary, but
definitely less scary? I'll give you an example. He does an episode. And now he did have a couple. Let's say it was 2.5 seasons. Let's say there were 50 episodes. He has a handful that are decent. Yeah, but for the most part, they weren't. I'll give you one. There's an old house. An elderly man. He has a greedy nephew. Wants him to die so he can get his inheritance. He starts putting up these scary pictures. He has the man paint all these different pictures, and they're scary. It's like of a coffin, and the coffin. So he'll go. The old man sees the picture. Now it's different. He goes, somebody's been digging in the graveyard. And then the next day, like the coffin's open, and then he sees like a corpse walking to his house. Yeah. And so anyways, and then the uncle dies, and he gets the house, and he has a very loyal servant, and he fires the servant, and then it continues. Now the nephew's there, and he starts seeing these pictures of his uncle's grave is getting unburied one day, and then he goes by, and the coffin's open, and then he sees his. So it's a painting.
Yeah.
But every time he walks by, it's a different painting.
Oh, that's a cool concept.
Yeah. And then and so then he dies.
Yeah.
And then the servant gets the house, the butler.
Yeah.
And then the same thing starts happening all over again. But in this case, somebody's knocking on the door, and then he has a heart attack and dies or something. So it's okay. It's a little bit scary, but it's not the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, yeah.
But some of them are kind of cheesy. They have like little vignettes of think of all the like Frankenstein, Dracula, and all the monsters, a witch having a party at like a funeral home. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of silly, like they're trying to be funny, and it's just ridiculous. But there are some good ones, and then there's this woman. It doesn't matter. It's just not as good as the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
but
that didn't last long, right? Night Gallery.
I want to say 2.5 seasons.
Oh, okay.
So it ended like, or 1.5 seasons. It ended like midway through the season. I think Rod Serling got fed up.
Yeah,
and said, enough is enough.
Yeah, yeah. Did he die fairly young, Rod Serling?
I want to say So.
He was a heavy smoker, right?
Heavy smoker. I want to say he must have been born in the 1920s because he fought in World War II and he was a young man. Yeah. So he must have been born, say, 1920s. I want to say he died in the late 70s. So he's probably in his mid to late 50s. And I believe it was cigarette related, like lung cancer or something, but heavy. I mean, here's things that's amazing.
Because he would smoke on camera, right?
That's amazing. Yes, he would smoke on, that would never happen today.
No.
And not like Archie Bunker, All in the Family. That show like that couldn't be made today.
Oh, with the cigars, yeah.
Not only that, but just the racism.
Oh, well,
and the things they're saying.
Yeah.
Couldn't be done today.
No.
And you're not going to show somebody smoking cigarettes like that. The host smoking cigarettes
right
on TV. That type of stuff's not going to happen.
This has been Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Ross Terrio, and we're going to end it this week with the way we began. He seems to like this project, The Wood Floors, from right here in New Hampshire. So we're going to close it out with one of their songs, but don't forget ipmnation.com/local outbreak is where you can go for all things Local Outbreak. And this track, little acoustic number called Ken by The Wood Floors, to wrap up this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet.
You might as well be dead, you might as well be gone, 'cause I won't see you again. You might as well be dead, you might as well be gone, 'cause I won't see you again. Hey Ken, what happened to you? Have you lost all pride? Hey Ken, what did she put you through? Time to live your